Japan, a country full of beautiful sights, rich culture, and incredible food. I have visited Japan 3 times in the past, and this time I would only have 1 week. So can you really see Japan in just 1 week? Well, I guess you'll just have to find out. My trip started by flying into Narita Airport, which is around an hour outside of Tokyo. And then it was through immigration, customs, and all that boring but very important stuff. From there I took the Narita Express train into the city, which for me is always a nostalgic ride. For the first half of my trip, I stayed at the Hotel New Otani, which is a historic hotel that opened in 1964. I stayed here 9 years ago on my first trip to Japan, so I thought why not stay here again. As far as the room goes, it's pretty standard for what you could expect in Tokyo. The room is well furnished and in good shape, so really, no complaints here. My view from the room was pretty sweet because I had a view of the city skyline, including Tokyo Skytree. After checking into the room, I headed down and took a walk across the massive property. I decided to grab something quick at the Family Mart convenience store inside of the hotel for dinner. I grabbed a barley and edamame rice ball, as well as a pork cutlet tonkatsu sandwich. While it's not gourmet food, they'll definitely do the job for your first tired dinner in Japan. Exhausted after a long day of travel, I promptly fell asleep. I started off my first morning in Japan with breakfast at the Garden Lounge restaurant inside of the New Otani. I started my breakfast off with a little bit of salad, and I'm telling you, Japanese salads are the best because they're always crisp and fresh, and it is the best salad you'll have anywhere in the world. I also got some of the boiled meats from their Western buffet, and yes, I am telling you it's a lot better than it sounds. Of course, the highlight was the Japanese buffet with options like stewed Japanese vegetables, green beans and sesame sauce, as well as inari sushi. They also had a decent selection of fresh fruit, which was a great way to end off the breakfast. After breakfast, I got a taxi to Ikebukuro Station, and from there was a half-an-hour train ride into Kawagoe. From Kawagoe Station, I took a short walk to a tea shop specializing in Japanese green tea since I had to pick up my annual supply of Japanese tea as I'm an absolute tea addict. Then I was back in another taxi to head into the center of Kawagoe, and I enjoyed the drive as we drove past all the traditional buildings in the center district. Because I got a late start, it was already time for lunch, so I quickly headed to a local udon shop that had a 30-minute wait. And I'm telling you, when you're in Japan, always go to the lines because that's where the good food is. I got this cold udon topped off with sliced pork and grated ginger, and my gosh, this was the best udon I've ever had in my entire life. Something about it. I mean, the textured noodles were silky yet chewy and bouncy, and I loved the flavor of the fatty pork. The kitchen was staffed entirely by Japanese grandmas, and that's how you know the food is gonna be amazing. After lunch, I headed to Kashiya Yokocho, which is a traditional sweets alley. After wandering around for a bit, I decided on the shop that sells sweet potato and milk soft serve. This was a solid choice. It had a very soft and melty texture, and it was quite milky as well as had a mild and subtle sweet potato flavor. After this soft serve, I didn't even make it across the street before I saw another stand selling sweet potato baked goods. I went for their take on the sweet potato pie, which was more of a flaky croissant-like pastry stuffed full of slightly sweetened sweet potatoes. The outer pastry was supremely flaky, and the inner sweet potato paste was just so light and fluffy while being not too sweet. By now you can see that Kawagoe is famous for their sweet potatoes, so I headed back to the main street to another sweet potato specialty shop that sold a variety of products. What caught my eye was their brulee sweet potato, which is a roasted sweet potato topped off with torched sugar, and I am not kidding, this is the best sweet potato I've ever had in my entire life. The moment you bite into it, you get a crunch from the sugar on top, and then you hit the inside the sweet potato, which is creamy yet sweet and sticky and syrupy all at the same time, finished by the skin, which is so thin it's very light and sweet and almost just dissolves on your tongue. After that life-changing sweet potato, I headed to the Kawagoe Bell Tower, which is one of the most famous historic sites. I was lucky to catch it at the top of the hour, so I was able to hear them ring the bell. From there I walked down a couple of busy roads that had no sidewalks, so there were cars and taxis whizzing by, yikes, and then I walked over to Hikawa Shrine, which is one of the most famous shrines in Kawagoe. After entering the shrine, I did the water purification process where you're supposed to get a little bit of water from a stream of running water, and then you carefully rinse your hands. Hikawa Shrine is known for its unique take on fortunes, so I started off with the one that is the red sea bream. Basically, you use a little fishing pole to fish out one of these paper mache sea bream that's filled with a paper fortune. Of course, because it's Kawagoe, they also had sweet potato fortunes, so for this one, you take a little wooden basket and scoop out a sweet potato with your fortune inside of it. Japanese shrines also often have these tunnels filled with little wooden tablets that people write their wishes on. The one here at Hikawa Shrine was absolutely packed, so it's really amazing to see how many people took advantage of this. I mean, at this rate, it looks like they're gonna run out of space pretty soon. Before leaving the shrine, I picked up these omamori, which are Japanese good luck amulets. After 5 hours in Kawagoe, I decided to catch a train to head back to Tokyo for dinner. I asked the hotel their recommendation for dinner, and they steered me toward this budget sushi shop that was a short walk away, and this turned out to not be one of my wisest decisions in Japan. I dined at Itame Sushi, which is a Japanese chain, and the one red flag I already had going into the meal is the hotel did give us coupons for the restaurant. I went for this platter of sushi that was $23 that was supposedly made with fish fresh from Tokyo Bay. Now I didn't mention this in the original vlog, but I'll be honest, some of the sushi quality really varied. A few of the sushi were pretty decent, like the squid. Most weren't great though. I mean, I don't really want to say this, but the mackerel was painfully fishy. Another warning sign with this restaurant is 80% of customers were tourists. I mean, unfortunately for the price, I've had much better sushi elsewhere in Japan. I mean, I had some of the best sushi in my life in Otaru, Japan, in Hokkaido, which was around $20 a person. Last year, I even had 75-cent sushi in Fukuoka, which was actually much better. So what I found is that in Tokyo, you generally do have to spend a little bit more if you want to guarantee yourself some fairly decent sushi. Alright, I know, that's the end of my sushi rant, and after my sushi dinner, I decided to walk back to the hotel and explore their Japanese garden, which was a quite nice way to end off the slightly disappointing night. The next morning I was off in another taxi, this time to Tokyo Station, as I would be heading out on a day trip to Kamakura. At Tokyo Station, I decided to upgrade my tickets at the ticket machine to the green car, which is the premium car, as it would be a 1-hour journey to Kamakura. The green car ticket came with access to this double-decker train car where you could choose any open seat. Once I arrived at Kamakura Station, I hopped in a taxi and headed off immediately to the most popular attraction in Kamakura, the Great Buddha statue of Kamakura. The Great Buddha has stood in Kamakura since 1252 when it was completed, and it is a large bronze statue, and you really have to see it in person to really see and appreciate the massive scale. If you're feeling really adventurous, you can even go up a narrow winding staircase that goes inside of the Buddha. However, in my opinion, I think the Buddha is best admired from the outside. For lunch, I headed back down to the center of town to Minamoto, which opened 101 years ago. I love how in Japan that they preserve many of these old buildings, such as tea houses and restaurants like this one. Minamoto specializes in soba, so I went for my go-to soba order, which is a hot duck soba. The noodles were irresistibly soft and tender, and I loved the broth, which is so rich and savory and absorbed some of the smokiness from the duck, which was so juicy and tender and slightly fatty. It's clear to see why they've been around for 101 years, because they've been doing something special, so I think they'll be around for 101 more years. After a comforting lunch, I headed to Hokokuchi Temple, well known for its bamboo forest. I purchased a ticket that included a cup of tea in their tea house, which overlooks the stunning bamboo forest. I thoroughly enjoyed sipping on my cup of hot, frothy, bitter matcha tea just overlooking the majestic bamboo forest. I think there's something to be said for sometimes taking a moment to slow down in life and just enjoy a cup of tea in the afternoon surrounded by the tranquil, natural bamboo, and what I love is Hokokuchi wasn't overly crowded either, so you could really just take a moment to sit down and just reflect a bit. Now before I get all philosophical on you, I made one last stop in Kamakura at Hachimangu Shrine, which is one of the largest shrines in Kamakura. I had the perfect timing of arriving at Hachimangu Shrine around 4:30 p.m. just after the last tour groups left, so it's really nice just to explore the large open grounds without a huge crowd of people and just take in all the beautiful architecture and history. After around 6 hours in Kamakura, it was time to head back to Tokyo. As you might be able to tell by this clip, the train was very full heading back as it was rush hour. I mean, the green cars were almost completely filled, and the poor people in the normal cars were literally pressed against the glass, so in this case, it was definitely worth it to pay for the small upgrade to the green car. It was already time for dinner, and I was absolutely starving, so I decided to search for something on my own inside Tokyo Station because I did not want to be bamboozled by the hotel a second night in a row. I decided on Uochu, which was a seafood restaurant with a short line and no English menus, so I knew it would be a special meal. I went for their tuna sashimi set, which came with chopped tuna belly, lean tuna, and medium fatty tuna. All of the tuna, including the lean tuna, was just melt in your mouth tender and buttery rich, and I'm telling you, there was no fishy flavor at all. This was simply not a fair comparison to the fish I had the previous night. To make the previous night's dinner even more insulting, I spent almost the exact same price on this meal, so I'm telling you, if you get out of your comfort zone and just look for the local hidden spots, that is where you can get some of the best, high-quality food in Tokyo. I ended the night off with some milk soft serve that was at a shop just around the corner from dinner. This was a refreshing end to my night after a long day trip to Kamakura. This was my last morning at the Hotel New Otani, so I decided to have breakfast at their most expensive restaurant, Satsuki. For my drink, I had fresh squeezed orange juice from their orange juice machine. I got a ton of different small dishes from their extensive Japanese buffet. They also had made-to-order onigiri rice balls. They also have a pure or made bakery on site. I got a few items, of course, and while they were delicious, they weren't life-changing. The real star of the show at this buffet was the fresh Japanese melon. Japanese melon is literally the best melon in the world because it's ridiculously juicy, supremely sweet, and fragrant. While this buffet is priced at $50 a person, I think it's worth trying at least once if you're staying at the New Otani. I mean, there's an endless amount of variety, and the quality difference is definitely noticeable. After a delightful breakfast, I checked out of my room and dropped off my luggage in my next hotel, which was the Gate Hotel. Then I traveled to the neighborhood of Ebisu for Blockhouse, which is a restaurant known for their Wagyu burgers. I got their classic smash burger, which came with a golden brown toasted bun, thin, crispy Wagyu patty, as well as melty cheese and a thick slice of a juicy red tomato. This was one of the best burgers I've ever had due to the freshness and quality of all the ingredients. Their fries were also addicting, which were thin, crispy, with a thorough coating of seasoning. Then it was another short taxi ride, this time to Shibuya. My first stop was this hot sauce vending machine by one of my favorite YouTubers, Paulo from Tokyo. I got some of his Umami Ocean hot sauce, which is fiery and addicting. Then I took a short walk to Lost Bar, which was opened by my favorite YouTuber abroad in Japan. It is on the second floor of the Grand Tokyo building. The door to Lost Bar is connected to a working gachapon machine. Of course, I had to try out the gachapon for myself, and I ended up getting this bottle opener. And then it was time to step inside the bar. I pre-booked their VIP room, which is required if you're filming for YouTube. I love the theming of the menu with drink names related to the channel, such as Like a Magic Meal or Too Much Volcano. I ordered 3 of their mocktails, the Sparkling Lychee Lemonade, Blue Monday, and On the Beach. All of the drinks were a hit with zesty fruit flavors in magical combinations. To go along with the drinks, I got the cheese plate, which Chris Broad himself has raved about. This is not some silly YouTube hype, as this is the real stuff. This is vintage cheddar cheese imported in from England. The sharp taste of the cheddar, as well as the little crispy salt crystals in there, contrast perfectly with all the sugary and fruity drinks. If you happen to be in Tokyo and you're a fan of abroad in Japan, you cannot miss out on Lost Bar. I headed back to the Gate Hotel and checked into my room, and actually stayed at the Gate Hotel 2 years ago and loved it, so that's why I was back. The room was nice and modern and had the same view I did 2 years ago, which was a view of the Tokyo Plaza shopping center. After checking into the room, I made the maybe poor decision of asking the hotel for a dinner recommendation since I was craving sukiyaki, which is Japanese stew, and thankfully everything ended up working out okay. This restaurant served up an affordable black Wagyu loin sukiyaki priced at only $35 a person. I mean, it was almost too good to be true. The sukiyaki meal starts when they bring out a shallow pan filled with the Wagyu beef to your table. It slowly fries for a few minutes, and then they bring you a pitcher of the concentrated broth and you pour in 3 swirls of this concentrated sukiyaki broth. Then you add in a little bit of sugar to set the table and mix it all in before letting it cook until it's finished. As the Wagyu beef gently simmered in a sweet broth, the smell was invigorating and the weight was almost unbearable. The beef just absorbed the broth, and the deep flavors of the broth really contrasted with the light sweetness and taste of the Wagyu beef itself. The Wagyu was just unbelievably tender, and it wasn't overly fatty, so you could just keep on eating it. Sukiyaki is traditionally eaten with raw egg in Japan. I was initially hesitant to try raw egg on my previous trips to Japan, since it's something you can never do in the US. I decided that this trip I finally needed to try the raw egg, so I just got my chopsticks and whipped it up. Finally, I dipped a slice of the piping hot beef into the raw egg, and then there was nothing left to do but to try it. To my surprise, I was delighted to find that this is the most delicious way to eat sukiyaki. I mean, the raw egg just cools down the beef and just leaves behind a thin coating, which really adds a creaminess that makes the Wagyu beef even more rich and filling and satisfying. What I found in Japan is to be adventurous and to try everything because you don't know what might surprise you. After dinner, I did a little bit of shopping at the Tokyo Plaza across from my hotel, and I stopped by TWGT and got a few souvenirs for myself. And just like that, it was the end of an epic day in Tokyo. I started my morning with the amazing breakfast at the Gate Hotel. They have an all-Western buffet, but they know how to do it right. One of my favorite things to get at the buffet is their famous honeycomb, which I spread on top of their house-made bread, and I also add some French butter to it. The bread is crusty and fluffy. The honey is some of the best I've ever had due to its aromatic and flowery taste. You also get to order one item off of the menu, and my favorite is the French toast, which is sandwiched with 2 slices of bacon. It's a no-brainer. The smokiness of the bacon and the sweetness of the French toast are just a match made in heaven. It is a rainy day, so I dash off to Tokyo Tower to escape the rain, which ends up being a very good idea. Your time at Tokyo Tower begins with a walkthrough explaining the history of Tokyo Tower. I booked a ticket that includes all the observation decks, so next I took the elevator up to the first observation deck. Tokyo Tower was nearly empty, possibly due to the rain, yet I still got some great shots of the city and kind of enjoyed the foggy and cloudy and stormy atmosphere. What's pretty wild is there's even a Shinto shrine on top of Tokyo Tower. I mean, this is something you will find only in Japan. Then I walked over to this dark room with digital photos, which was pretty cool. From there was up on another elevator to this really small deck area that ended up just being a tourist photo opportunity. I mean, I'll be real, the views from here were alright, but it was really just a holding area for the next elevator to the very top deck of Tokyo Tower. After heading back down to the bottom of Tokyo Tower, I hopped in a taxi to head off to lunch in Shibuya. Miyazaki is a city in Kyushu and I've always wanted to visit, but I decided the next best thing is trying the food. I ordered this huge, colorful lunch bento set that came with all sorts of different Miyazaki dishes. How about charcoal grilled Miyazaki chicken on a sizzling plate along with cabbage? Or nanban chicken, which is fried chicken with tartar sauce. For the seafood lovers out there, you have tender slices of sashimi as well as fish cooked in a sweet sake sauce. The list just goes on, and it's simply a treasure chest full of culinary delights. After lunch, I stopped at the fruit parlor across the hall for some dessert. It was a 15-minute wait, but well worth it. I tried this mango parfait topped off with thick, juicy slices of mango and fresh strawberries. This was the light dessert that I was looking for, and even though it was large, it wasn't too heavy. To burn off the calories, I decided to shop in Ginza for a few hours before heading off to the area where I would be having the best dinner of my trip. My dinner reservation was inside the JP Mori building, but I was there early, so I decided to head to their observation deck on the top floor, and I got a drink at their cafe. You can get some truly stunning views of the city, as well as Tokyo Tower. I mean, look at that, you can even get a view of the Rainbow Bridge, which is one of my favorite sights. I had the perfect timing as I was able to see the city go from day and slowly transition into dusk before heading into night, and it was really magical just to see all the lights turn on in every single building in Tokyo. Then it was off to dinner at Yoriniku Tokyo, which is a Wagyu Yakiniku specialty restaurant, and it was almost impossible to reserve, yet I managed to book it anyways. Dinner was in a private room, and I also pre-ordered their limited black truffle course meal. The service was incredible, as every dish was either grilled or prepared at our table by one of the waitstaff. Now for the highlights, the first was the Wagyu beef tartare, which was my first time trying beef tartare, and it was so melt in your mouth delicious, and the seasoning was so flavorful. Another highlight was the Wagyu sushi, which was expertly crafted, and I could eat 100 of these if served. The Wagyu Chateaubriand was also unbelievable, which was cooked at such a low temperature on a grill, it didn't even sizzle, which resulted in just a ridiculously thick yet tender piece of meat. The crown jewel of the course was the Wagyu Sukiyaki, which was the highest quality Wagyu I've ever tasted, gently cooked in a sukiyaki broth. Then a black truffle was shaved into a bowl with a raw egg and then lightly frothed together with the Wagyu beef as a whisk. This was one of the most flavorful bites of food I've ever taken, and this was one of the best meals of my entire life. For my full review, check out the original vlog linked in my playlist that's in the cards up on the top right corner or in the description down below. After that life-changing meal, I somehow stumbled back to my room feeling 10 pounds heavier. The next day, my friend Sayo so kindly agreed to take me around Tokyo. We started off by jumping on a train and heading off to lunch. She treated me to lunch at a restaurant in the Nihonbashi area, which is near her office, and she actually visits this restaurant quite often for lunch. This restaurant is known for their omu rice, which is an omelette rice. I ordered their chicken omu rice, so I started by carefully cutting through the top of the omelette and then just breaking it open and revealing the soft and custardy center. At this restaurant, you're also supposed to enjoy it with a plentiful amount of ketchup. This was simply comfort food at its finest. I mean, you have the rich and creamy egg, the tender and juicy piece of the chicken, as well as the slightly chewy rice, and to end it, you have the tang from all the ketchup on top. I love being introduced to all these local restaurants, which makes the travel experience all the more enjoyable. Then I headed off to the Kiyosumi Gardens, which is a nice green space to escape some of the city life of Tokyo. It was clear blue skies with perfect weather, so I took some time to enjoy the sun and stroll around the gardens. After the gardens, I headed off to Ginza for some afternoon dessert. I stopped by Toraya Ginza, which serves a variety of traditional Japanese sweets. I ordered the matcha kakigori along with a hot steaming cup of matcha. The matcha kakigori had the perfect level of sweetness and was so light it melted the instant it touched your tongue due to its almost powdery texture. The hot matcha didn't disappoint either, as it was made with their signature matcha blend. Sayo also had the matcha kakigori, and we agreed that this was the perfect way to end off our day. After saying goodbye to Sayo, I asked the hotel for a sushi recommendation, and they made reservations at an omakase sushi restaurant, and surely they couldn't mess that up, right? This is Ginza Simone, and I paid $116 for their smallest course, which was another splurge. This was genuinely some of the best sushi I ever had. I mean, the quality of fish was just unmatched. All of the fish was so vibrant and brightly colored, and it literally melted in your mouth. If you're in Tokyo and you're looking for an omakase sushi dinner and you don't want to spend $300 or $400, Ginza Simone is definitely a great choice. That night I went back to my room with a full belly and feeling like I had truly redeemed myself for sushi on this trip. To start my final day in Japan, I went off to my favorite cream puff shop in Tokyo. This is Shirohige's Cream Puff Shop, which is tucked away in a quaint neighborhood, and they've gone viral for their Totoro-shaped cream puffs. This time I tried the chocolate, custard, and matcha cream puffs. The chocolate cream puff was just okay, however the custard and matcha were heavenly. The custard filling was really thick and eggy without being too sweet. The matcha filling was surprisingly high quality, and I still haven't had bad matcha yet in Japan. After my sweet treat, I hopped in a taxi since Shirohige's is a bit on the outskirts of the city, and then I took my taxi to Roppongi to have lunch. I chose to have lunch at a Foodie, which is a ramen chain known for its lighter take on ramen. It is counter-only seating, so you get really close up to the action and you can see your ramen being prepared to order. I appreciated the light citrusy soy-based broth, which was really unique for ramen, and I was actually able to finish all of it because it was so light. The chashu pork was also char-grilled to order, which made all the difference. And the noodles were extremely thin, yet they still maintained their delicate, chewy texture. I still had a bit of an appetite, so I headed to the Family Mart across the street to try the famous Family Mart chicken, which has gotta be the most popular convenience store food in all of Japan. Now, what did I think about the taste of the legendary Family Mart chicken? Well, it turns out it was pretty tasty for a fast food or convenience store chicken, however I wouldn't say it's a must try when you're in Japan. Then I headed off to Harbs, which is a bakery chain I've been seeing for years that has shops across the country. Their specialty is their milk crepe cake filled with whipped cream and freshly sliced fruit, so that is exactly what I ordered. It is a large slice that could theoretically be shared between two people. Notice how I say theoretically. It is stuffed full of whipped cream, but despite that it's not too heavy because there's so much sliced fruit in it, it's closer to a fruit salad than it is to a cake. After finishing up, I headed back on a train to Ginza to pick up some last-minute souvenirs. After that, I just wandered the streets of Ginza looking for dinner, and then I stumbled across probably what is the best unexpected restaurant find I've ever found. This is Terayako, specializing in omakase yakitori at only $35 a person for their small course. They use hinaidori chicken, which is known as the highest quality breed of chicken in Japan, and it's basically the Wagyu beef of chicken. This made for the best yakitori experience I've ever had in Japan, and I've eaten a lot of yakitori over the years. And it really wasn't even close either. The chicken was just explosively juicy with an unreal flavor. I mean, the fat was literally yellow due to the quality. As the meal progressed, each skewer of masterfully grilled chicken just got better and better. This made for one of the most memorable meals of my entire trip. I mean, the food gods will work in mysterious ways. They might just take you to a little hidden away yakitori shop in the back alley in Ginza, literally across from a 7-Eleven convenience store. In my opinion, this is what makes traveling so rich. Just going out there and exploring the world all on your own. I mean, you might make some mistakes along the way, but eventually you will come across amazing surprises that you'll remember for a lifetime. After dinner, I hopped into a taxi that I pre-reserved through the hotel as I would be heading to the airport, as I would be flying out early the next morning. I took one last look out the window as I left the glitz and glamour of Ginza behind me as I headed on the expressway out of Tokyo. As we cruised down the elevated expressway through the light nighttime traffic in Tokyo, I got some last fleeting glimpses of Tokyo Tower and a view of the city skyline. I took this moment to think about the marvelous one-week trip I had just completed to Japan. From historic architectural marvels that were built before the days of modern construction, to nature scenes so beautiful they look straight out of a computer screensaver, skyscrapers and cityscapes stretching for miles in every direction, delicious comfort food made fresh by somebody's grandma, and extravagant 3.5-hour-long meals that are once-in-a-lifetime experience. Japan just truly has something for everyone. Now you might be wondering, can you really see Japan in just 7 days? And the answer is, not really, but maybe that's okay. Japan is just a much larger and more diverse country than most people realize. It doesn't matter whether you visited Japan once, twice, 3 times, or even 4 times. You will just have to keep going to Japan over and over to see it all. Well, at least some of it, that is. And that is why Japan is my favorite place to travel to, and I hope you can make it out here one day as well. As always, I really hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure if you did to give it a like, and also make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.